Diamonds are considered a girl's best friend. They're given as gifts and also as a sign of affection. However, many diamonds have a very dark origin. These are called conflict diamonds. Conflict diamonds are classified by the United Nations as diamonds that originate from areas controlled by forces or factions opposed to legitimate and internationally recognized governments, and are used to fund military action in opposition to those governments or in contravention to the decisions of the Security Council. End quote. Conflict diamonds were brought into light around the time when Sierra Leone, an unstable West African country, became independent. De Beers, a diamond industry giant based in Luxembourg, mined diamonds in Sierra Leone legitimately and peacefully until De Beers' claim to the diamond mines ran out after 99 years, and Sierra Leone became independent of Great Britain in 1961. After Sierra Leone gained independence, a series of corrupt leaders used the flourishing diamond industry to finance their current ruling faction, manipulate their people, and buy weaponry from international arms dealers in order to arm their faction. Many terrorist groups have been linked to blood diamonds. These groups have successfully made $30 million from blood diamonds. These diamonds have been linked to Al Qaeda in the attacks of 9/11. In 2003, the Kimberley Process Identification Scheme was put into action. This process required all diamonds to be accompanied by a certificate of authenticity saying they are conflict-free. This came inside of a tamper-proof box to ensure the authenticity and safety of the diamonds. There are currently 51 countries participating in the Kimberley Process Act.
The activist group Global Witness has accused diamond industry giants of buying and selling conflict diamonds after an email campaign was launched asking for their policies about conflict diamonds. Among the companies that did not respond and therefore were accused by Global Witness are department stores such as Macy's and Bloomingdale's and international retailers such as Cartier, Bulgari, and Henry Winston. George W. Bush signed 2 executive orders prohibiting the importation of blood diamonds from Liberia, Sierra Leone, and the Congo. This came after blood diamonds came to the public attention. People wanted to help the innocent civilians, and at the time there was no fighting going on.
So U.S. soldiers were sent to help train the government officials. These soldiers were trained to resist against united rebel fronts such as the RUF. These government officials were also taught to keep the government successfully running. The deaths attributed to blood diamonds reached an estimated 4 million people. While soldiers were fighting overseas, U.S. diamond retailers were fighting their own war. These retailers were constantly under attack from human rights groups. These human rights groups said that these diamond retailers were funding the civil wars that were occurring in Africa and were responsible for the deaths of millions of people. In addition to being harassed by human rights groups, the DoD and DEA were cracking down on the illegal sale of blood diamonds.
After the attacks of 9/11 and the unveiling of blood diamonds, diamond stock plummeted, so diamond retailers started looking for ways to maximize profit. One of these ways was selling blood diamonds and passing them off as conflict-free. This soon came to a stop when diamonds were put into even more light after death tolls in certain West African diamond-producing countries was on the rise yet again. And these companies were yet again fueling wars in Africa, as well as wars in the Middle East with U.S. soldiers fighting in them. These companies also violated natural rights set forth by the Declaration of Independence. These natural rights state that all people have a right to a pursuit of happiness, a right to life, and a right to liberty. By buying these diamonds, these companies also violated their responsibilities as American countries. A true American company would not fund a war on terrorism knowingly, which these companies all did at one time or another.
U.S. retailers and diamond buyers were paying to have mine workers' rights violated. The miners were forced to work long hours, never got breaks, or even ate for days. To ignore these miners' rights is unethical as well as a violation of what our country stands for and why it was created. To ignore the rights of these people is to ignore the oppressed citizens of Sierra Leone, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Angola, is unjust, unright, unethical, and a violation of what George W. Bush signed. The executive orders George W. Bush signed stated that no U.S. retailers were to import diamonds from conflict areas such as Sierra Leone, Angola, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Also stated in the executive orders was that U.S. soldiers would be sent to these oppressed countries to free the citizens and return peace to the government. The U.S. government also violated their responsibility to ensure that all diamonds imported into the United States were conflict-free. As U.S. government agencies became more involved in the war on terror and the war on drugs, they ignored many other illegal activities that were occurring inside the United States. Thousands of innocent people died as a result of the U.S. government ignoring blood diamonds. U.S. diamond retailers and the U.S. government were not the only organizations or groups to violate their rights and responsibilities to ensure that all diamonds entering certain countries were conflict-free. Many KPS or Kimberly Process Identification Officers were bribed with just $50 to create a false document. These false documents helped many organizations smuggle out conflict diamonds into countries where they would be bought and sold and directly fund civil wars or terrorist organizations. It was not uncommon to accept bribes in these African countries because $50 was the difference between life and death in many situations. These officers thought that by accepting the bribe, they were taking money that would help them or their families survive, but in reality, they're just funding the murders and rapes of many innocent people. Over time, the Kimberly Process Identification Scheme lost its effectiveness, but is still operational today. Today, many labs are used to test the origins of diamonds and determine whether they came from Africa or other countries abroad. Around the world, there's a new technology that is being used to identify the origins of diamonds. A laser engraves a serial number into a diamond that is naked to the human eye. These serial numbers can be used to trace the origins and sales of these diamonds. The sale of blood diamonds has significantly decreased since it was introduced to the public, but still, organizations, companies, retailers, and even governments have violated their rights and responsibilities to ensure that all diamonds entering their regions, areas, or shops are conflict-free. The worst organization or group to violate their rights and responsibilities was U.S. diamond retailers. U.S. diamond retailers are the worst group because they broke the law so frequently. They broke the law of illegal sale of blood diamonds so often that they invested so much money into illegal organizations that killed, raped, murdered, and slaughtered thousands of innocent civilians, minors, government officials, and even U.S. soldiers. However, all of these organizations and government agencies violated their rights and responsibilities to ensure that all blood diamonds entering their countries or regions were conflict-free. Next time you buy a diamond or are thinking of buying a ring, ask yourself, how many people died creating this?